Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video today we're checking out a video titled The True Reason Why the F-22 Raptor Can Kill Anything in the Sky. So if you guys want more reaction videos like this, let me know. But I've heard of the F-22 Raptor and I know that's a very powerful jet. So let's check out and kind of learn some more information about the jet in this video today. Let's go, my friends.
The true reason why the F-22 Raptor can kill anything in the sky.
It's a very good piloting the jet, though. I do have to say, look at the way
With
it's
Russia
moving.
and China deploying advanced new fighters and surface-to-air missiles, the task of gaining and maintaining air superiority over an increasingly more lethal battle space falls to a small and elite group of U.S. Air Force pilots flying the mighty Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. Conceived during the waning years of the Cold War, the stealthy, high-flying, supersonically cruising Raptor was designed to defeat the most fearsome weapons the Soviet Union could hurl at the United States and NATO during a Third World War in Europe. However, with the end of the Cold War and subsequent 1991 collapse of the Soviet Union, the F-22 was left without a mission, or so it was thought. Indeed, the second Bush and Obama administrations canceled the F-22 program in 2008 after only 195 aircraft. 187 production planes were ordered because they made the assumption that high-end, state-on-state conflicts were a relic of the past. However, as it's become
Sadly, something like that will never be a relic of the past, if we're being honest.
increasingly apparent, they were wrong.
Yeah, sadly.
Why America needs the F-22 Raptor, now more than ever. Now, with voices on the left and right clamoring for action in Syria, where the Kremlin is propping up its longtime ally, the Assad regime, the Pentagon finds that it has to rely on its tiny fleet of 186 F-22 Raptors if the call comes to establish a no-fly zone or a safe zone in that war-torn nation. The Raptor is the only operational combat aircraft that the United States operates that Washington can rely on to take on and defeat advanced air defenses such as the Panzer S-1, S-300 V4, and S-400 that Moscow has dispatched to Syria. Moreover, it's the only aircraft in the U.S. Air Force inventory that possesses a huge performance overmatch against late-generation Russian fighters such as the Su-30SM Flanker H and the Su-35S Flanker E, both of which the Kremlin has also deployed to the region. Our role is to kick down the door, First Fighter Wing Commander Colonel Pete Fessler, a veteran F-22 Raptor pilot, told me during a visit to Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. We are, without a doubt, on the leading edge of whatever force you're going to send because we have an airplane that has a capability that no one else has.
I mean, the movement for this plane is incredible.
Training matters. But while it's important to have the right tools, more important is the human dimension. Pilots and maintainers must be trained and ready to defeat the highest-end threats if they're to be sent into combat. The Raptor pilots, while they're still a critical component, are still just one part of a team. Nothing's going to happen unless the maintainers can get the airplanes running. The low observable maintainers can keep the skin healthy, the munitions guys can build the bombs and missiles, and the weapons loaders can get them on the airplane. The air traffic controllers can launch them, intel folks can prep the pilots for the mission they're going to do. All those things have to come together, and if they get out of sync, none of it works.
Okay, I like the way it's showcasing everyone that kind of works on the plane, because a lot of the times they just focus on the pilot, and don't get me wrong, the amount of training, the amount of skill these people have is extremely impressive, but there's a lot of people that goes into making sure that it's all up to date, giving directions, making sure nothing bad happens to the plane and servicing it, just because one little thing goes wrong and the pilot could potentially die, and no one wants that to happen. So I like the fact that it's showcasing everyone who's working on it.
The ultimate insurance policy. In many ways, the Raptor is the U.S. Air Force's insurance policy. While the rest of the Air Force has been preparing for and fighting low-intensity warfare scenarios, as an elite vanguard force, the Raptor fleet has focused almost exclusively on defeating the highest-end threats. We've been focused on the high-end threat all along, Fessler said. In fact, the departure from standard for us is the times we go over to Operation Inherent Resolve, the counter-ISIS campaign, and do the close air support type missions over there. Low-intensity conflict is not our bread and butter. Even since the earliest days when the Raptor entered operational testing in 2002, the F-22 has performed incredibly well in simulated combat, amassing lopsided victories in the air even when flying against the most challenging simulated threats. Advanced Russian fighters such as the Su-35 and the S-300V4 and S-400, it's exceedingly rare for the F-22 to be shot down. Losses in the F-22 are a rarity regardless of the threat we're training against, Fessler said. Why the Raptor dominates. Indeed, one of the problems for the F-22 is to generate enough targets and a tough enough threat so that pilots get some useful training. Another problem is that the jet is so capable in terms of its sheer speed, acceleration, stealth, sensors, and maneuverability, it actually compensates for tactical errors. It makes up for a lot of shortcomings in the pilot side. You can have a really bad day and the airplane will still do phenomenally well, said one senior F-22 pilot.
Okay, that is really good as well, because something could happen to the pilot, but the plane seems to carry a lot of the weight in it, so that's really good.
Who goes by the call sign Crash. Just because you win the fight doesn't mean you did well. Just because you lost doesn't mean you screwed up. We build scenarios to track that. So there are times when guys will die in training when they did everything right. And there's other times dudes are screwing up left and right and they're completely successful. But in this airplane, it's much easier to survive.
That's kind of like life,
because
though.
The jet is so capable and the pilots are the elite of the elite, the Red Air has to effectively overwhelm the Raptors with sheer numbers. Crash described one scenario where 4 F-22s took on 10 fourth-gen enemy aircraft similar to a Su-35 simultaneously, and which regenerate or come back to life. A little bit more than your typical fourth-gen, Crash said. We're not training against things that are not operational yet. We're fighting against the most advanced operational threats we can. Typically, the blue F-22s will slaughter the enemy from long range. Indeed, as Fessler notes, if an enemy aircraft has survived to enter the merge or visual range combat and finds a Raptor, something has gone terribly wrong. That usually leads to an intensive debrief to understand what went wrong. Indeed, all of the pilots I spoke to unanimously told me that the debrief is the most important part of a training sortie. Nonetheless, F-22 pilots train extensively for a visual range fight. We usually train full up versus full up, Crash said. We assume that a Western-trained F-22 is going to be the most challenging threat we're going to go against. A big upgrade, and something needed. One recent addition to the Raptors at Langley is the new Block 3.2A Update 5 software. At long last, the new upgrade adds the Raytheon AIM-9X Sidewinder high-off boresight missile, something long coveted by the F-22 community. The addition of the AIM-9X is a huge improvement for the Raptor. The addition of the new weapon greatly increases the F-22's already formidable lethality.
Yeah, look at the size of it.
5 is an interim capability. The AIM-9X and the Raytheon AIM-12OD AMRAAM missiles will be fully integrated onto the Raptor with the Increment 3.2B upgrade, which is yet to be fielded. The one thing that the F-22 is still lacking is a helmet-mounted cueing system, HMCS. That would be used to exploit the outer edges of the AIM-9X's capabilities. It's a feature that's common on most U.S. fighter aircraft and most foreign ones. The lack of such a system would normally place the Raptor at a severe disadvantage in a dogfight if the aircraft didn't perform as well as it does. The Air Force is still planning on adding such a helmet-mounted cueing system to the F-22, but pilots at the first fighter wing say that's not an absolute necessity. The Raptor can usually dominate a fight even without such a system. Indeed, as Fessler noted, even without the AIM-9X or a HMCS, F-22 pilots often close into gun range and ambush other jets in visual range. I can sneak up on a guy, Fessler said. In the F-22, I convert on guys, and they never even see you there. You roll up right behind them and go, why waste a missile when you have a gun? Ultimately, as the U.S.
Okay, I'd kind of be more interested to learn about the stealth of the F-22 as well, because it seems to be quite loud, but I imagine because you're going so fast and the movements that you can sneak up on a lot of people, but that'd be quite interesting to see because it sounds loud, but I guess if the enemies are in jets as well, the sound probably isn't as loud as I'm hearing in this video.
U.S. Air Force's only dedicated fifth-generation air superiority fighter in an increasingly hostile world where the threat grows more challenging every day, it's in the service's best interest to ensure the Raptor remains as capable as possible. Right now, the Air Force is slated to equip the F-22 with a helmet-mounted sight by 2020, but similar efforts have fallen prey to budget cuts in the past. The helmet would be awesome to have, but it's not a game changer for us, Crash said, but a helmet-mounted sight would help us a lot.
Okay, so that is the end of the video, why the F-22 Raptor can kill anything in the sky, and it kind of broke it down. I mean, it's a very impressive piece of technology. It's been around since the Cold War. It got retired for a short bit, but obviously it's brought, and I wish they kind of went more in depth about the stealth aspect of the F-22 Raptor. That'd have been quite cool to see. I like the way it showcased everyone who works on the F-22 Raptor, not just the pilot. Don't get me wrong, guys. The pilot is very impressive. The movements we saw in this video, the training he has to do, he's literally putting his life on the line, taking this into battle. But I like the fact that we see everyone who works on the plane, because if one little thing goes wrong, it could completely go bad for the pilot, and obviously no one wants that to happen. So that's very cool. If you guys want more reaction videos like this, let me know. I didn't really speak that much, and I did try and add my comments, of course, because I'm kind of listening. I'm trying to learn more about it. And the F-22 Raptor is something I've heard of. Some of the things I react to I haven't heard of, but this one is one of the most famous jets of all time. So if you guys want more reaction videos like this, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and give me some more reactions, and I'll see you guys next video. Have a great day, everyone.